YouTube, what the crap's going on? HeirofCarthage here, and welcome to the Kulchan Plains, where we're going to be checking out a Chaos versus Vampire Counts matchup. Someone sent in by Pratani. He's one of the mods on my Discord. Appreciate all the work that he does there and helping to make an awesome community for those who enjoy I guess the channel and the games that we play on the channel, but more than that, there's other stuff that goes on there too. Go check out the link for the Discord. It's free, doesn't cost you anything. I don't make money off of it. We just love having people there, so please go check it out. In any case, we've got some Chaos Marauders up front. It's going to be mostly Chaos Marauders. It looks like there are 5 units of them. There's an Aspiring Champion backing them up and a Forsaken. And then here we have a Chaos Spawn. There is a Hell Cannon supporting, as well as 2 Dragon Ogre Shaggoths, a Fire Sorcerer, which has Burning Head, Flaming Sword of Ruin, and Fireball, and then we have an Exalted Hero supporting Sigvald the Magnificent. So, pretty good stuff here in terms of an army pick. I say pretty good stuff. I mean, it just depends. We'll see how the match goes on. Sigvald would be very difficult for vampires to kill. Wouldn't be easy for them to Zerg him, so I think that pick makes sense. Cheap infantry, I mean, there's no need in taking super expensive infantry against the vampires and giving them something really easy to kill. And there's a little bit of a range component, I think, to try and threaten and force the vampires in closer, and then an anti-large component with the Dragon Ogre Shaggoths. Fire Sorcery is always going to be a solid pick against the vampires because there are so many units in the vampire army that suffer extra weakness to fire from their regeneration abilities, such as the Vargulfs here. There are 2 of them here on the right flank of the vampire army. The vampire's main core infantry is actually Cairn Wraiths. I'm assuming that they thought they were going to have to cut through a fair bit of armor, and so they basically shielded the Cairn Wraiths with zombies, backed them up with White Kings. White Kings are an interesting unit these days, especially when they come with the spell. I think it's like Scabscraft or something like that. It's like a narrow breath spell. It's actually pretty darn good against low armor. I don't know if it's been brought with these guys, but White Kings on foot are very cost efficient. Now they are being supported by Ghorst. Now he is the ghost with the most. He's the only vampire count brave enough to ride into battle on a corpse cart, making himself an incredibly easy target and incredibly weak in melee, but, you know, I guess pretty good at buffing at nearby units. He does have the Konigstein Stalkers, and there are more corpse carts, so this is a Ghorst-themed build for sure. Basically, the corpse carts buff up the melee stats and make vampire infantry slightly less sucky. So we'll see what happens here as the battle lines clash. I don't expect Marauders to hold out long against Cairn Wraiths. In fact, they will probably get chewed up rather quickly. The Marauders don't have the leadership, nor do they have the damage, nor do they have the magic attack. See the Hell Cannon kind of swapping shots on Cairn Wraiths and other targets. Burning Head here from Pratani. A little bit miscast. It heads off in the wrong direction. It could have burned up quite a few enemies right here, but didn't quite connect with them. The Chaos Spawn's doing okay at the moment, causing kind of a blockage here in the middle, but they'll be overmatched because the Claw of Nagash and the White King will really help slow them down. And then some Grave Guard were summoned by Ghorst, which are really helping to hold that fight together as well. One of the Vargulfs got slapped real fast on the flank out here by a couple of the the 2 Dragon Ogre Shaggoths. The other one managed to get away and is now trying to threaten behind the lines of Chaos. And the Dragon Ogres obviously being moved to try and help stop that. Some Cairn Wraiths have also made their way around the flank and are wanting to threaten the Hell Cannon. I've seen the Hell Cannon miss Cairn Wraiths quite a few times in this battle. It didn't right there. But I haven't caught every shot of it, you know, obviously in the battle camera because we weren't focused there. But I've noticed it missing quite a few times, which actually kind of surprised me. Flaming Sword of Ruin was used here on the Forsaken, but they got terror routed. And the Claw of Nagash is finishing them off. You can see this Vargulf doing a nice job at kind of peeling the Dragon Ogre off. This allowed the Cairn Wraiths to get to the cannon. Looks like the cannon crew is attempting to flee, which is probably a pretty smart move, try and save their ammunition. I just don't know that they can get away. Yep, there was Scabscraft right there. So the White Kings did bring it. I recommend it is something that's brought. Yeah, it's like 100 and something gold, but if the battle goes on long enough, you can use it every 90 seconds. And that's, you know, with 2 of these White Kings, that's 6 bound breath spells that are actually pretty darn good against anything low armor. And so it's really not a bad pick. for the vampires. Like I said, I think it's a great way for them to get a whole lot more damage in against enemy infantry or skirmishers, all kinds of stuff. The Claw of Nagash, very healthy here. This Vargulf over here, in a fight that it probably doesn't want to be in, but it does have a little bit of zombie chaff, and that helps tremendously. You can actually see how few attacks that the Ogre Shaggoth is getting in here, where all the attacks from the Vargulf, and it's because those zombies are kind of making this unit glitch around and try and scoot up, and it's trying to ignore the zombies, but it just can't really completely ignore them. So the Vargulf ends up pulling its weight in that fight much better than it otherwise would have. We still have Ghorst, who's still alive. He's helping to fight through some Chaos Spawn with the Königstein Stalkers. And the two White Kings have caught the other Dragon Ogre Shaggoth. They are pretty tough units, but they're not particularly good at armor piercing. And they're not anti-large. You can see that one got knocked out of the fight for his trouble. And then over here, the Cairn Wraiths are finally being mopped up. This is one of the weaknesses of Cairn Wraiths. They do very nice damage in very specific situations. They have very low hit points, though, because they're ethereal. And they also don't have a lot of attack value. Like, when they do attack, they do some good damage, but their attack value is quite low. And so I find that Cairn Wraiths are kind of difficult in a lot of situations to get to pay off. And in this case, most of them have died at this point. However, I mean, things are not looking terrible for the vampire counts, despite the loss of their Cairn Wraiths. I mean, the power meter feels like it's in their favor. These two heroes, though, are in a little bit of trouble. They're kind of on their own here against some overwhelming odds, and that won't be good for them. This Exalted Hero will actually do quite well at fighting down a White King. The White King, in return, would do decent against the Exalted Hero. Sigvald will also do excellent against a White King. He is definitely a duelist. High defense, high damage, solid attack. So he's an excellent duelist. Now, the Claw of Nagash is going to be in here. If it's in combat and not dying, it'll do extremely well, but taking shots from a Shaggoth, definitely not where it's going to want to be in life. And it has to be in combat, remember, in order to cause the Mortis Engine effect on its targets. And it is working right now because it is in combat. Ghorst is up here. There's one more White King. Power bar still in favor of the vampire counts. Looks like it's going to be a fairly close finish, though. Got a corpse card with Unholy Lodestone here. And remember, the Unholy Lodestone heals nearby units. I think it's like 2 hit points a second. So it'll help keep all these units in the fight a little longer. You see the Mortis Engine. You know, these Marauders coming in here. There's another Scabscrath right there. Didn't end up doing a whole lot. It kind of missed. I think I'm saying that right. If I'm saying Scabscrath wrong, I apologize. I think you'll know what it means. It doesn't show up on the White King when I go look at its abilities, I don't think. Maybe it does. I don't know. Yeah, here it is. Scabscrath. Yep, Scabscrath. All right. So, yep, there it is. All right, so the Ogre Shaggoth actually gets broken over here, which is fortunate for the vampires because they would have been a massive threat to the Ogre Shaggoth. There are some Marauders back here. Aspiring Champions got knocked out, which again is good for the Claw of Nagash because this unit is ethereal and relies heavily on... I say it was ethereal. I thought it was ethereal. It doesn't look ethereal. Magic resistance. Never mind. I was thinking it was ethereal. Shows you how stupid I am. It's not. It actually has magic resistance, so never mind. The Aspiring Champions were never a threat to it. Ignore what I just said. So Chaos still showing the underdog in this fight, but I mean, Siegvald is not being damaged quickly, and again, although he's not great against armor, he is a duelist, and he is an excellent duelist, and you can see here, he and his Exalted Hero just tanked that White King. He does still have to deal with the Vargulf, though. The Vargulf, though, may have a hard time attacking Sigvald. We'll see, though. The Mortis Engine's going to come in. It does get a bonus versus infantry, which could be dangerous. And again, if it's in melee, it will be sapping some hit points off of these units, which, again, helps the vampire counts quite a lot. Let's see. Still stacked against Chaos according to the power bar. Vargulf's going to turn around and get rid of these Marauders that were trying to come support. Let's see what Sigvald's able to do in combat here. Will he land some big hits and make a big difference? We shall see. Again, he's taking very little damage, and not surprising. The Claw of Nagash, despite being anti-infantry, is really kind of out of its league. I mean, look at that 60 melee defense. It's not going to be easy to score attacks. You would want to use the Vargulf, ideally, to maybe kind of tank Sigvald. Look at that. Sigvald smacked Helm Ghorst. When he gets hits on Ghorst, it is going to be brutal because Ghorst does not have the armor to withstand a lot of Sigvald's damage. And nor does the Vargulf. So the Vargulf being a fairly low armor thing will make it pretty vulnerable to Siegvald as long as he's not getting knocked around, and you can see he's really not getting knocked around right here. An Aspiring Champion and Siegvald are going to combine for a lot of damage, so what was looking pretty good for the vampires, I mean, it still is according to the power bar, but I don't see how they're going to kill these 2 units. He did just get a really great hit on the Exalted Hero, which put it down under 1,000 hit points. He's in trouble now and actually gets terrified. So that is some fortuitous luck there for the vampire counts, but at the same time, Ghorst is getting absolutely skewered by Sigvald and his saber here, as he just lays waste to Helman Ghorst. The Slaanesh champion now moving on over here to enjoy some excessive beatings on the Vargulf and the Claw of Nagash, which were busy working the Fire Sorcerer. And Siegvald gets in and just lays down an absolute wallop on the Vargulf and the Claw of Nagash, which is just impressive. It's not often you're going to see Siegvald tanking like this, and then look at the power bar swinging here as the leadership without their lord starts to fall apart for the vampire counts. And yeah, the Prince of Slaanesh here carrying the day for Chaos. No doubt he will go back to the camp and engage in every depraved excess that he can think of, because that's just what you do when you Slaanesh. Look at that face. He's like, yeah. That face is classic. He looks so stupid. I love it. All right, let's end the replay and check out the stats. Sorry, I couldn't help but get a laugh there at the hit. Sigvald ought to have some pretty... Yeah, look at that. 43-96. He absolutely chewed through some enemies there, did a spectacular job. Let's see if the Hell Cannon... No, Hell Cannon did not end up with much value. It missed a lot. Again, you all didn't see all of that in the beginning. Shaggoths both did well, paying for themselves, doing a lot of damage. Let's take a look at the Marauders. They were up against a bunch of cheap infantry supported by corpse carts, and they did pretty decently, all things considered. I mean, you don't expect a lot of damage value out of cheap units like that. Exalted Hero did well. The Shaman Sorcerer, the Chaos Sorcerer, Lore of Fire, did not do really spectacular here. There's a couple missed spells, I think, that hurt a little there. I mean, look at these White Kings. These guys only cost about like 6 something, I think, with Scabscraft. And so, not bad. You know, not bad, all things considered. Again, with Ghorst, probably needs more value considering his cost here. And we'll take a look at other key units. Let's look at the Cairn race. Now, they cost around 750, 800, I think. So in terms of damage value, that one paid for itself and the others did not. Then we look at the Vargulfs. This is the one that got crapped on by the double Shaggoth, and this one did not, and it really did some excellent killing for the vampire counts. And then the Claw of Nagash also doing quite well. This is a fun matchup, fun battle between Prytani and Catarat here. I thought you all would enjoy this, you know, seeing Sigvald tank his way through the end of this. It's not often that you see a lord on foot really being the clutch character, since so much focus seems to be on single entities and single entity monsters. And then a lot of people may have expected Chaos to come with a little bit heavier infantry style against the vampire counts, and that was honestly probably what the vampire counts were hoping for, because you notice that they brought a lot of cheap stuff with some armor piercing like the Vargulfs and the Claw of Nagash. So they would have been better suited to taking on, you know, more heavy infantry, and they were less well suited for taking on a couple of Shaggoths. And then obviously none of their units were suited for taking on Sigvald. Maybe a doubling up of White Kings could have had a chance, but I want to say that they got after him and still weren't doing that well. Sigvald just has very high melee defense. It's difficult to cut through and get hits on him because his melee defense is so high. That's what makes him such an excellent duelist. He will get into a fight and he'll typically last for quite a long time, except for probably just the worst of situations for him, which I suppose would be someone who has really high melee attack and a bonus versus infantry, which would be one of the few things I think that really might lend any, you know, hurt against Siegvald. But with his healing, even that'll take longer. But anyway, hope you all enjoyed this one. HeirofCarthage signing out for now. I will have more coming to you soon, and I hope you are enjoying it. I will see you then.